Yes, people, what's going on? What's going on? Welcome back to the channel, people. Another week, man. You know what I mean? Right now, I'm not feeling confident. We've got man like Billy joining us today. You know what I'm saying? To preview the big one against Aston Villa tomorrow. Another game where we're going to be on TV, people. Yeah. Where Chelsea just keep embarrassing us right now. You know what I mean? I'm not confident whatsoever, man. But looking at Villa's record recently, I'm seeing they've got 2 wins in their last 5 games. Obviously, you lot are depleted of injuries at the minute at the back as well. So yeah, Billy will definitely go through it in terms of how he's feeling going into the game and what the problems have been at the minute with Villa, bro. But first of all, how's it going, bro? You good?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Just getting over I say disappointment of Liverpool, but it could have gone either way. If they finished their chances, they could have buried us quite comfortably. But
Yeah.
it's just those last 10, 15 minutes. I felt like they were really there for the taking in particular. But look, it is what it is. Can't scoff at. Not going to scoff at a draw against a champions elect. So. Yeah, I'm ready and raring for another game at Villa Park as well. That'll be 3 on the bounce, I think. So yeah.
Yeah, 100%, bro. And listen, going into this game, from the previous game that we played you lot at the Bridge, for me that was still our best performance of the season, right?
Probably our worst.
Yeah. We made you look average because I remember going into that game, there was a few Chelsea fans that were skeptical because obviously Villa, you've got a good team on paper, of course, and you've got a good manager as well. You know, arguably who's better than Maresca. Actually, Emery is better than Maresca. Let's be real. He's got way more credentials.
Yeah.
Way more credentials than Maresca. So yeah, you would argue that he's better than him, right? But that day we had Caicedo starting, we had Lavia starting, we had Cole Palmer, we had Jackson. That was our best 11 at the time. For Fofana, I remember we squeezed you lot in. You weren't able to get out of your half. That was an unbelievable game. 3-0 at the Bridge, clean sheet as well, which Chelsea this season haven't really been getting many clean sheets. But now we're going into the game where we haven't even got a striker. Obviously I'll go through what I think the predicted lineup's going to be. We're low on confidence right now. We haven't been winning that many games. It's long being a Chelsea fan. I'm sure you've probably heard about the protests that are going to happen next week, Tuesday as well. But from a Villa point of view, bro, how are you feeling, going into the game, first of all, man?
Nervous, to be honest with you. Nervous, because although you're not overly confident at the minute, I think you look at our fixtures and some of the games that we've been playing. You look at the game against Ipswich, we weren't able to bury that game. And so, yeah, although we're not losing too many games, we're also not winning too many games, if you know what I mean. And so it's a little bit up and down as to how we're kind of feeling. My main worry for the weekend is that we only have Tyrone Mings as our fit centre back.
Yep.
Because hopefully, I'm praying on everything that Ezri Konsa will be ready for the game. But yeah, we really don't know. Obviously, Disasi from yourselves played against Liverpool. Can't play this because he's obviously on loan.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my main worry, to be perfectly honest with you. That centre backs. If we're then having to play Lamar Bogard, very young, but he's out of position. We've lost Kamara through injury, who was that stopgap defensive.
Oh, he's injured as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is the thing at the minute. We don't have any centre backs. We're starting to get a few back from injury. Obviously, Disasi's fully fit, but at the time being, these couple of games that we've been playing, it's will Mings be back? Will who's going to play basically at centre half? So yeah, that's my biggest thing. Praying that Ezri Konsa's ready to play on Saturday.
Yeah, that's understandable because even the other day I saw Garcia made a mistake, and right now it looks like you lot seem to be making a lot of mistakes from the back, bro. Like, what are you putting that down to? Is it just like a lack of concentration or lack of quality? Is it?
I think, to be honest with you, it's a lack of stability that we've had throughout the season, because defense in particular, even when we had a strong defense, fully fit defense, it was still quite shaky. Now we've had several injuries in those positions as well. Obviously, you lose that bit of stability that you did have, and I think we're on about our 10th or 11th centre back pairing this season.
Wow.
And so exactly, and with that, we're constantly swapping Luca Dean and Matson. One of them plays 60 minutes, the other comes on for 30 minutes normally.
Mm.
Obviously, Matty Cash has been injured, so we've got Andres Garcia in, who's done really well. Actually, it was unfortunate about the mistake the other night,
Yeah.
but it's just not a stable back line at all. So I'm kind of glad that we're going into a Chelsea side who have got a depleted front line. So
Yeah.
hopefully that can help us a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you were fully fit in the front line, I'd be panicking serious about this. But because of the injury issues that you've had yourselves, I'm hoping that will kind of balance it out a little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's basically just that the I think it's only Southampton who have made more errors leading to goals in the season so far.
Yeah.
So that just tells you everything that you need to know. We're not keeping clean sheets. I think it's 3 this season. So yeah, we're just leaking goals at the back. And our main thing which stopped us from winning against Ipswich last week is we can't put the ball in the back of the net either. We're struggling. It takes us a good few chances to be able to put the ball in the back of the net. Now against Liverpool, we were really clinical, to be fair. Like I mentioned earlier, there was a couple of chances towards the end of the game that were more half chances, but the chances that we did have, we were able to score from. So I'm just hoping that we can maintain that clinicality, if that's a word, at the top.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
If we can remain to be clinical at the top and keep you guys out, then I'm hopeful that we can get something. But yeah, it's an issue, that defensive line, really.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, you're saying things that I've been saying this season about our pairing at the back as well. You know, we've chopped and changed so much. Even in my lineup, I didn't even know who to put at centre back because they've just not been performing. You know, at the start of the season, we started to get a little bit more momentum with Fofana and Colwill. Defensively, you know, people kept cooking Chelsea, saying, "Oh, your defense ain't great," but we really wasn't as bad as what it was made out to be. Like, cool, fair enough, we couldn't really keep clean sheets, but in terms of, you know, being front facing with Fofana, pushing into the midfield, helping us keep that high line, you know, even with the recovery runs as well, he's a lot quicker than Colwill, right? He's a lot quicker than Tosin and Chalobah as well. Chalobah's not the slowest, but Fofana is the quickest out of all of them, right? And when you're constantly chopping and changing the centre backs, it means that you've got a lack of chemistry back there, you know, and these are the little intangibles that people miss out. And you're spot on when you talk about that. And it makes sense to me listening to that because I'm having the same problem with Chelsea. We've made so many mistakes at the back, right? So many mistakes at the back. If you look at the best teams right now, if you look at Arsenal at the back, it's mainly Saliba and Gabriel all the time, right?
Yeah.
Liverpool, it's mainly Konate and Van Dijk all the time. If they kept chopping and changing and had the different partner next to them, they're not going to be as good. As good as they are individually, they're just not going to be as good, you know? So that's another problem that we've got right now. And you know, in this game, I think Cole will start, but I don't know if it's going to be Chalobah or Tosin. It's a toss-up right now because Chalobah, since coming back, he's been at fault for like 4 goals. I'll be honest with you, bro. He's been at fault.
I thought he was doing all right. I thought when he came back, he put in a few good performances. I didn't realize it had been that bad.
Bro, the first game against Wolves was a game where Wolves aren't even pressing us from the front, so he had all the time in the world. He was good in that game, to be fair, at the Bridge. Against Man City, you saw how bad our defense was. You know, who else has he played against? He played last game against Brighton, shocking in that game as well. Like, he just hasn't been good enough, you know. And this is someone that I said we should just leave him at Palace, and get better because he's just not that good. You know, he's better than Disasi for me. I'll be honest with you. I think Disasi had a good game the other day, but you ain't seen nothing yet, Billy. Yeah, this guy has many bozo moments in him, and he's fucking slow as well. That's one thing about it.
We're surviving with Tyrone Mings, who has also got a few bozo moments in him. So as long as he's got less bozo moments than Mings, he'll probably get on all right.
That's my hope. Because when I'm looking at your back line, you know, Mings, like I've said, he's one that always gives goals, man. He'll just give it straight back to the opposition, and before you know it, you're scoring. So for this game, I'm looking mainly at Palmer to do something up there, man, because we just haven't got a striker. We are honestly so poor without a striker, and at the minute, I'm not really seeing Maresca, you know, trying to problem solve. He's not really overlapping the fullbacks to support the wingers. You see Neto and Sancho right now, they're not really scoring many goals, right? It's a drought. Before it was creating chances with Jackson. Now that's completely gone. So I'm honestly just looking at mistakes right now as a way of scoring. I'm not confident going into this game at all. How do you think Maresca's been doing recently anyway, man? What have you thought about him? Start of the season, he was doing quite well. Now he kind of feels like it's Leicester part 2, deja vu again of Leicester. What happened second half?
This is I'm unsure really. It's really hard to judge him, I think, because obviously with it only being his first season at Chelsea, but you look at what he did against or at Leicester, sorry, and like you mentioned, that first half of the season they just blitzed it, didn't they? Similar as to what you did at Chelsea. It took everyone by surprise, and all of a sudden it looks like this could be his trademark move. you get off really well at the beginning of the season, and then second half of the season, it's almost like what's gone wrong.
Yeah.
Leicester obviously managed to get the job over the line in the end. I think you'll probably do the same, if I'm being totally honest, with Champions League. I think you will stumble over the line. But then again, saying that, there's good teams up there. If we can get our scoring boots on and start picking up results frequently, then obviously we could be in the conversation. But you've got teams like Newcastle, who I think are definitely in the conversation. You got Forest, who are already up there. Teams like Bournemouth. There's a lot of good teams in the Premier League this season. So
yeah,
it is going to be hard for you. And obviously, if you are to get Champions League football, then you need a quick turnaround and to stabilise those results a little bit. But yeah, I'm not too sure what I think of Maresca. Like I say, I think it's hard to kind of judge. I think next season will be when I can fully give a clear understanding of what Maresca is as a manager, because like I say, it's back-to-back seasons now where he's done really well at the beginning of the season. Second half of the season he drops off, and like I mentioned as well, it's almost like his trademark move. So that as a football manager who's wanting to go on and be something in the game, that can't be a thing.
Yeah, 100%. And going into this game, I need to see something different. One thing about Villa, I haven't got my screenshots today because I actually need to get the system back that I use. I was telling you backstage, I wasn't able to use it for today. But when I did the preview before with what's you referred the guy to me, I forgot his name
Rich.
now. Rich, big up Rich, yeah. When I did the streams before with Rich, I was showing everyone how you build up from the back. You tend to have your two centre backs with your fullback staying quite high. And then in terms of the midfield, if you play, for example, Tielemans, McGinn, Rodgers, even Rodgers starting on the wing, they tend to sort of go into the midfield. But now that you've got Rashford, you've got someone that can hold the width a little bit. You've put Asensio on the right. Obviously, we'll go through the lineup after. But if he does play on the right, I've got a feeling he's another one that will start to drift into the midfield a little bit more. So I've got a strong feeling that Maresca's going to try and mirror that by packing out the midfield as well. But for us, that hasn't really been successful recently because it's led to us not really creating much from the wide areas. You know what I mean? Because we're not really overlapping anyone and we're having to invert our fullbacks into the middle. So that's what I'm worried about right now is just the chance creation. We've got to go back to the basics and just start to create chances again. And that's something that, last season, Maresca, second half of the season with Leicester, they were missing a lot of chances. Very similar to Chels. Very similar to Chels. They're missing a lot of chances, but now it's completely dried out. But who would you say that you're, most sort of wary about still when it comes to Chelsea at the minute?
The obvious one's Cole Palmer. He's an absolute baller, isn't he? Let's be honest. He is quality, and he is one of those players that can create something of nothing. Granted, he hasn't necessarily been doing that overly often this season, I don't think, in my opinion, or as frequent as he was last season anyway. But
he's been let down, man. He's been let down. Over 30 chances.
Well, yeah, there is that as well. There is that as well. So, yeah, he's obviously the one that we need to be wary about. And I think if I was Emery, I'd probably stick someone like John McGinn on him, just almost sort of man mark him a little bit when he's got the ball, close him down quickly, making sure that he can't do anything. So that's Cole Palmer's the main one, and it as crazy as it sounds to a lot of fans, it would have been Jackson as well had he have been fit, because I think as bozo he can be at times, he is still a very dangerous player. I think he's quite good with his feet and running in
Yep.
behind. Granted, his chances or his finishing may not be as great as it should be, but I think as an overall footballer, I think he is decent. And if
Yeah.
he could sort out that finishing, then you've got a lethal player on your hands. But
Ah,
that is the only thing that lets him down, really.
bro,
So
if Jackson could finish his if he could finish his dinner, he would honestly be one of the best strikers in the world. Because away from the
I
finishing,
honestly believe that as well, man. I
yeah.
really do, because like I say, he's almost got everything. He's got the height, he's got the power, he's got the pace as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's good with his feet.
Mm,
If he could finish, it'd be quality. But
100%.
there's loads of those players though that you could say things like that about. That there's just that one key element to their game
Yeah.
that sometimes lets them down, and Jackson looks to be one. And
Yeah.
I hope for his sake more than anything
Mm.
that he can learn to finish almost, if you know what I mean.
Bro, some of the finishing that I see from him at times is honestly disgusting. Like, I'm looking at it like, bro, you're a professional footballer. You know, you get paid all this money, right? Every single week. Surely you're doing some extra training, because it's just the technique that he uses at times, which is just shocking. And I'm like,
And
I honestly look at him sometimes and I'm like, I've honestly got friends that don't even play football like that much anymore. And their finishing is a lot better than yours, right? One of my boys right now, he used to play for academies and that growing up, and he's playing non-league at the minute. I'm telling you now, Ibby, I'm going to send this to Ibby after, yeah? He's a better finisher than Jackson, right? I used to play with this guy, and his finishing was clean. Jackson is always flappy, you know what I mean? It's never, he's never really got that real control. You know, he snaps at it a lot. You know what I mean? He mistimes his shots a lot. It's just poor technique. That's what
yeah,
he needs to work on. You know, he's
this
not a
is
natural finisher. You know what I'm saying?
that's something that I give Ollie Watkins a lot of credit for, because I've been quite vocal over the years and saying
Mm,
that Watkins isn't the greatest finisher either.
mm,
He often misses a lot of chances that, in
he
my
does.
opinion, he should put away.
Yep.
And last season he was fantastic. In fairness to him, he was really good, much more clinical than he has been in previous seasons.
Yeah, last
But
year he was brilliant.
he's someone that's gone out himself
Mm,
and done that extra training. He brought in a personal one-on-one coach to help him, and that's something that he's done himself, and he's taken responsibility himself
yeah.
to do that. So that's something that I give Watkins a lot of credit for, because a lot of players will just be, this is me, I can't help it kind of thing, whereas
Mm,
Watkins is determined to go that extra mile almost
mm-hmm.
and say, no, I need to be better. And yeah, so far I'll be honest with you, it has worked, because
Mm,
before, it could also be Unai Emery to a certain extent, because
mm-hmm.
before Emery he missed a lot of chances in particular. I think
Mm,
now he still obviously misses chances. Who
mm.
doesn't, in fairness? Um, but he does bag a lot more now.
Yeah. I mean, talk us through your lineup. Obviously, this is what you've gone with here. You know,
Yeah,
obviously Tielemans has been good this season, to be fair. He scored against
quality
Liverpool as
player.
well. Rodgers, we know what Rodgers can do. That worries me, him running through the
Mm.
midfield. Asensio on his debut looks quite good. I mean, the other day he wasn't as effective, and obviously Rashford looks like
Yeah.
he's got a little bit more life now. But yeah, just talk us through your lineup, man, and what you think the game plan is going to be here.
Yeah, so this is the lineup that I've gone for. I do think that it could be very different to this. I will be honest. I think Matty Cash came on against Liverpool for the last 20 minutes or so. I think he could potentially get a start over Andres Garcia at right back. As we mentioned earlier, Ezri Konza, I'm praying that he's going to be starting. If Konza doesn't start, I think it will be Lamar Bogard who comes in at centre back. Um, Mings obviously has to play as our only fit centre back in that case.
Mm-hmm.
And then Luca Dean going into the midfield, another area where we've got a few injuries. Amadou Onana's one. And as I mentioned as well, Boubacar Kamara will be missing. He's a huge loss, by the way. He's been fantastic for us since
I
he
like him.
came.
I like him.
Mate, he's so good at reading the game and just being that player in front of the back line to break things up. And
Yeah.
the way he runs with the ball as well, he's mate. There aren't enough superlatives in the world for me to label him. To be honest with you, Tielemans has been fantastic for us.
Yep.
this season. McGinn, he's one that can be very hot and cold at times, and I mean that as in game by game performance as well as in game performance. I think you saw against Liverpool, first 10, 15 minutes, it was a shambles. He didn't know who was passing to. So some of the stray passes were ridiculous, but eventually grew into the game, and I think overall probably had a decent game. But this is where now the front line, where we could see a few changes. I think Rashford, for me, he's deserved another starting chance. Rogers and Watkins are the two 100% starters for me. And then the only other one would be Asensio. Like you mentioned, look good so far for us. But I think Daniel Marlon, when he's come on and when he's played, has looked really, really lively and probably deserves a chance as well. So I think it depends which way Unai Emery's going to go about it. If we want that little bit more direct pace in behind, as well as Watkins and Rashford, I think we will start with Marlon and then look to bring Asensio on if we need that little bit of a creative spark as well eventually in the game. Or maybe you might leave Marlon until the last half an hour, 20 minutes or so for that extra burst of pace against tired legs. So yeah, there's a lot of ways we could go. But that's the team lineup I think I'd probably go for.
Yeah, listen, and that's a decent lineup, man. Especially in your attack, I think your defense ain't the greatest, but then our defense ain't the greatest either. And the likes of Marlon, coming on, I see how he likes to run in behind as well. He looks like a real threat, man. And right now, like I said,
player.
the likes of Colwell, Chalobah, these guys, they're just not on form right now, because they're just not great defenders, really. And when they're not on form, it's even worse. You know what I'm saying? But this is the lineup that I've gone with for the game. I think we'll go with Jorgensen in goal. I think Jorgensen right now is getting pelters from the fan base. Me, I'm getting cooked as well because I was saying this guy should be starting ahead of Sanchez because for me, the main thing I've spoken about is on the ball, he's a lot more comfortable. And I feel like he'll relieve a lot more pressure to the defenders because on the ball, he's better than Sanchez. He ain't just going to keep giving it away like Sanchez every single week. You know what I mean? I know against Brighton, there was a mad moment where he just gave it straight back to them. But you don't really see much. You don't see that much from him in comparison to Sanchez, right? But he does need to improve his shot stopping as well. Hopefully he does it this game. Hopefully we're not getting pammed, But I've actually started tossing for this one and Colwell as well. With Reece on the right-hand side with Cucurella. I'm hoping he overlaps both of these sides. I'm not sure if he does it with Reece, in all honesty, because we know how Reece is in terms of his injury and his fitness. So you might be looking at Gusto if he does overlap the fullbacks to start on that side. Caicedo and Enzo on the pivot. I think they'll start in this game. Obviously, Palmer in the 10. Neto on the right, who has not been good. I'll be honest with you. This season has been very underwhelming. A lot of people like to cook Mudryk and that, but in the Chelsea top, I've seen more from Mudryk than I have from Neto. Wow. I'll be so honest. Neto this season, I can only think of the West Ham game, probably the Arsenal game, and also when we played Liverpool and he came on. He was good in those games. But other than that, he's been poor and he's had a lot of opportunities, way more than Mudryk did. You know what I mean? So I think it's been quite poor, but let's see what he can do starting in this game. And then Tyreek George is someone that I've started on the left-hand side because I think Sancho has been shocking recently. And he actually came on the last game and did pretty well in comparison to the rest of them. It wasn't an amazing performance, but it was something that I can work with where it's like, okay, the other two didn't perform. Let's start you instead. You've taken someone's shirt right now. You know what I'm trying to say? And as much as I hate Nkunku up top, I think that's what he's going to start. I think he's going to start Nkunku up top. It's a shame we haven't got Felix right now. You lot were chasing Felix as well. I don't like Felix as a 9, but at least he's going to give you energy. At least he's going to press the front. Nkunku's going to let your centre-backs just walk as if they're having a picnic. You know what I mean? That's the problem you've got when he's up there. But if a chance does land to him, if we're overlapping the fullbacks, George whipping it in, Neto whipping it in, maybe Reece and Cucurella whipping them in, then you trust him in the box to finish. But away from that off the ball, he's just not that guy, Like I said, right now, our midfield as well, there's a bit of, we're lacking a bit of cohesion. Caicedo's dropped off a little bit. Enzo wasn't as influential against Brighton, but I think the whole team's been a mess. You know what I'm saying? I think the whole team's been a mess so far. But yeah, that's the team that I'm going to go with, man. But in terms of, predictions, Bill, Obviously, you're the home team. So what do you think? What do you think the score is going to be, bro?
I'll be honest with you, mate. I hate doing predictions. I
You
hate
got to do
doing
it, man.
predictions. I'll do it for you because I love you, and you're a brother. But I hate doing predictions. Yeah, home team. I think Villa Park will be bouncing. I I'm gonna back us. I'm gonna back us. 2-1 Villa. We don't keep a clean sheet. We don't make it easy for ourselves. But I do think we'll get the job done in the end. 2-1.
I think you're going to beat us. I've gone
Really?
2-0 Villa, yeah.
Wow.
I've gone 2-0 Villa, man.
2-0, even though we don't keep clean sheets.
Even though you don't keep clean sheets, bro. Like I know how badly this team plays without a striker. I saw it last season when Jackson went to AFCON. Start of the season he was being cooked, right? Oh, this guy's shit. When he went away, we had Palmer playing as a 9 and Broja as a 9. All of a sudden, people want Jackson to come back. You know what I mean? So yes, he's not a good finisher, but he does help us link up play. He does bring us
a
from
lot.
back to front. He helps us in terms of the build up. But him not being there, I just want to see what Maresca does. Is he going to play Neto up top? Is he going to play George up top? We had Gil before, but he's injured as well. So I'm honestly deflated right now. People like to call me delusional on that, and I'm just optimistic. Bro, I'm real. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm real when it comes to these sort of things. And right now, I've got no confidence in Chels. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm going to say 2-0 Villa, man. But I pray that we beat you.
We need these 3 points as well for where we want to be in the league, looking at Europe. We have to win this game, really, because it drags you so much closer as well.
Yeah, exactly. If you beat us, you're going to be a point behind us. Yeah, you'll be a point behind us if you beat us.
See that's huge. We need that. We really need that, and just for the confidence and the belief within the squad and the fan base as well. I think a win against Chelsea, will do us absolute wonders. So yeah, we really need those 3 points. For me, I think it's a must win this game. For like I say, where we want to be, looking at Europe. If we lose this, you obviously gain another 3 points on us. It makes that job nigh on impossible. And I think attention's probably turned then to seeing how far we can get in the Champions League and seeing how far we can get in the FA Cup.
100%, bro. And for us, that win's massive because I think City are going to lose to Liverpool. We win this game, we should be back into the top 4 because our goal difference is worse than Bournemouth. So they could win and end up.
Our goal difference is a shambles as well. Have you seen it?
-3,
-3, yeah.
Ours is 13 to be fair. So yeah, we've actually got a decent goal difference there. But yeah, we need to make sure that we deal with business, man, because after you lot, we've got Leicester at home and we've got Southampton at home. So Southampton first, sorry, then we've got Leicester at home as well. And even though we've got a depleted squad, like we should be able to beat those 2 teams.
You'd imagine so.
100%, bro. But people, listen, love for tuning in. Billy, love for jumping on, man. Enjoyed that show.
Pleasure,
man.
Mate. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah. I'll make sure that I put your YouTube in the description as well, people.
Nice one.
But Chels, please, bro, just prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, man. We can't have these guys on our back like this. In a bit, people. Love.